Wow.
Live from New York and LA, it's the Sonic Chronic.
Sonic Chronic.
Our new jingle. And it's the
Hi.
scary
Coastal.
episode.
You're so scary, Shay.
I don't even know what this... I guess it's kind of like a glossy alien version of Ghostface. I don't know. We'll say.
I like that.
And then, of course, representing Dia de la Muertas.
Very good.
Did I say it right?
Yeah, Dia de los Muertos.
Sidetrack.
El
All right.
Loco.
Sonic chronic, frequency of the times. The sonic chronic, frequency of the times.
We're so happy you're here.
We're so happy. This is fun. Our first guest episode. All right. Here we go. All right.
Okay. Tell them who you are, Shay.
Who am I? All right. Hey, I'm Shazy, creative alchemist, music producer and artist, and vocal vixen. Born in Xanadu and living in LA, ready to scratch that itch in your brain.
And hey, I'm Mandy, singer, actress, lover, here to spread a little magic everywhere I go.
All right. And welcome to the Sonic Chronic, where we discuss the soundtracks and music of the most popular film titles of a year and how they influenced or were influenced by the cultural buzz of that year. Who were its popular tastemakers and storytellers, and what was the frequency of that time?
Ooh.
So we are time hopping over to planet 1996. But before we get into it, we have a very special guest this episode. So excited.
So excited.
Welcome our special guest, Militia Vox. Adorable in the corner there, the most gorgy little square there. Award-winning multidisciplinary artist, singer, songwriter, composer, producer, visual and immersive creative, and dubbed one of the greatest voices in rock and heavy metal. Okay.
All the things.
And she does have a little special affinity for the horror genre. So we thought it was appropriate to invite her on for this episode to add her knowledge and wisdom around the titles that we'll be reviewing.
Yay,
So welcome, Militia.
Oh, so happy to be here, ladies. Yes. Look at us being bi-coastal and shit.
Shoot.
Bi-coastal witches. No,
Yeah.
all right.
So you're joining us all the way from New York.
That's right. She is in New York City, and we
it's
are in
New
LA.
York
We are
City
doing the coast to
and
coast
3 hours
thing.
ahead of you.
Yeah.
That's right. You are a night owl, and we appreciate you doing that. I mean, hardcore, but that's
Yeah, I put my comfies on and everything.
That's
I have
the
my
life you live.
skeleton
That's right. I
onesie.
love it. The skeleton and everything.
Super comfy.
This is my like gory contribution.
yeah.
My LA bookstore.
And I'm orange for jack-o'-lantern.
I'm orange pumpkin. All
For
right.
jack-o'-lanterns everywhere.
But actually, Mandy and Militia, it's 1996,
1996.
and I'm feeling woozy.
Oh, God.
So, with that
It was
said,
a hot
I
mess
think
in 1996.
it's a hot night. Yeah, you know what? What we need to do is we've landed in 1996. We went far back. This is it's been a minute.
I
It's been a
love
minute.
1996.
Yeah, she's like, I don't know. Me and Militia, we're like, yeah, 1996, we lived it.
Was it?
Kinda, yeah.
I was 6 years old.
So,
Were you alive, Mandy?
6, yes,
Yeah.
I was 6.
she was 6.
Living my best 6-year-old life.
All right.
Watching it after we see it in the theater. Let's
First
talk about
grade.
first about what was happening in the global kind of frequency. What was happening in the global buzz of
Let's
1996?
go
It's been a
back
minute.
in time, Shazik. Tell me.
Yeah, let's talk about. Okay, are you ready for this?
Yes, please.
Dolly, the sheep cloning. That happened that year, July 1996. Scientists in Scotland announced the successful cloning of a sheep named Dolly. This marked a significant milestone in biotechnology and sparked debates about the ethics and implications of cloning. You know they've been doing stuff with humans since then, but that was that was a big mainstream announcement.
I remember
Crazy,
that.
right?
But didn't also like,
Do you remember?
like Barbara Streisand cloned her dog.
What? I forgot about that.
I do
Of course, she's got the
remember
money and the
Yeah, she
resources
sure
to
did.
do that. But wait, was
did
that
it
successful?
actually-
I know, but like automatically my brain goes to like Pet Cemetery and I'm just like,
Thank you.
is it the same? Or is it a zombie version?
Was it
of
a
the
zombie dog?
No, it's very Edgar Allan Poe. No, I would not. I would not do that.
Was it a Pomeranian?
I think it was a terrier.
Okay,
It's
so
kinda-
a little
It's
foo-foo.
kind of like just,
Terrier. See,
Well,
like
bats
it's
can do no wrong.
it's
Little creepy.
Cujo.
it could be
It's
Cujo.
Cujo.
Or Pet Cemetery,
Terrier.
like you said.
The
It's like
terrier of terror.
so.
Oh my gosh.
And then did
I think
Yeah.
Like
back,
just like Photoshop out like Cujo, the big scary dog, and put in like this demon terrier.
he's like
Place.
yeah, we get a little
You
side.
know, just like AI, that shit. Yeah.
oh my gosh.
Terriers are fucking scary.
yeah, they
Yeah,
can
they
be,
are.
but I love them too.
It can be scary.
You know what else I love?
What?
Back in 96,
Yeah.
the cutest little furry monster, Elmo. Do you remember Tickle Me Elmo?
That came out in 96?
In 96, it was like this
Oh, yes.
whole craze. People were going
a craze.
nuts. They were fighting at Walmarts and Targets.
Oh my
they
God.
were trampling each other to
Yeah,
get
yeah.
this thing. it was like this little
right.
Elmo doll that like he would like
And he's like,
laugh.
like when you,
It was kind of creepy, but everybody
kind of
wanted
like
them.
Teddy Ruxpin.
They legit sold.
Did you have one?
I did have one, thankfully,
I didn't
because
have one.
I didn't have the Elmo one. I had Zoe. Do you remember Zoe from Sesame Street?
No.
Yeah, yeah.
My auntie Lisa
you
used
do?
to
Yes.
work at a Sesame Street store, so we had tons of the characters on deck. Of course, Elmo was always sold out. But
That
Christmas
was
in 96,
crazy.
they
I
sold
remember
a
that.
million of them. A million?
That is like the.
Oh, yes.
I'm sorry. 1990. I'm glad you brought that up because I was thinking about it. As I was watching all the movies that we were going to review for this year, and this is just one episode slice of that, right? But I realized I was like, wow, 90s and 96 is right smack dab in the middle. Is kind of like the height of capitalism and like reality TV and
yeah.
consumerism, and it was just like we were just like it was like information overload. MTV was like da 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 da, you know, and it was just like 96 was like we lived it. It was
I
like
love the 90s.
it was crazy though.
It was crazy.
Like when we saw super violent stuff,
Yeah,
like
but
some of these movies,
96
it was nothing to us.
Yeah, like 96 was like, I don't know, I always equate it with what I was listening to at the time.
Yeah.
So like when I think 96, I'm
Exactly.
like, you know, I mean, obviously the soundtracks of all the movies that we're about to be talking about were huge.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yes.
But like, I think alternative radio, and I think of like, I used to listen to 99.1 WHFS.
Yes. I went to the
ADMV
concert.
area,
Oh my
that
God, it was so
the
good.
shit. Oh yeah.
Foo Fighters,
And remember
No
who
Doubt,
broke big that
Garbage.
year? Corn.
Corn.
Like dropped
Deftones.
Adidas.
Oh yeah.
They dropped that Adidas video in 1996.
Oh shoot.
Where they were like in the body bags.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, it was
Good
like very iconic video.
super
And
iconic.
now Korn's got a partnership with Adidas, and they like released a line of
I didn't know
Korn
that.
inspired Adidas clothes that
Right
just came
now?
out this week.
I had no
Yeah,
idea.
now,
Look at them with the Adidas.
like
you-
way after the fact.
My
I know.
Adidas.
You would never guess
Yeah.
that with Corn. Well, that was a smart move.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Dang.
Yeah, that was a good call. That came
Well,
out
should
in
have.
96.
I mean, why didn't they do it years ago? I mean, I
Right?
guess whatever.
I
better late than
wonder.
never.
Yeah, I wonder if Adidas is just
Yeah.
trying to like, I don't know. Adidas has always been pretty steady, but maybe they're trying to get back on the map because, like, I don't know, like maybe they're lost market share. Who knows?
I'm always amazed when a major corporation partners with like a metal band.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
I agree.
like most people just automatically pursue like pop bands or rap artists or whatever
Yeah.
is like super trendy.
Yeah.
But like it was like Adidas was finally like, all right, I guess you're iconic now, so
Yeah.
let's do this.
Yeah, I can see
Yeah.
that. Yeah. Now,
Winning.
not to hop back up. I mean, that's this. I always come back to like the global stuff, which is not as interesting as cultural, but it's interesting
yeah.
to
It's
know
interesting.
this was also happening because it's an interesting juxtaposition. Because, well, anyway, let me just tell you, it was the Centennial Olympic Park bombing that happened during the 1996 Summer Olympics in Atlanta. A bomb exploded in Centennial Olympic Park, killing 2 people and injuring
Fuck,
over
I don't even
100
remember that.
others. The incident shocked the world and garnered extensive media coverage. But yeah, that was something that we were like watching the Olympics. We're just chilling, and then boom, and then here we are. We're like, this is crazy. Then we were like, okay, Korn comes out with a video. It's like, I just felt like we were just like all this tragedy, but then at the same time, we were just kind of like, hey, look over here. There was like so much stuff for us to kind of pull our attention back from like, don't worry about that.
Right.
Come over here, you know?
Jeez.
Isn't that crazy? Anything left? Anything else?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, this year, guess what song was popping on the Billboard charts? Everybody knows this song. La Macarena.
Oh my God, shut
Baila
up.
tu cuerpo de río, Macarena, que tu cuerpo suena la río, que suena. Baila tu cuerpo de río, Macarena. Macarena.
All right. Oh my God, and I did not.
Like, as much as I love
I didn't get into it.
dances that are like
I
trending
hated them.
dances.
Yeah.
Oh, I could get enough of that song. For sure.
I didn't get into it either. Like that was the one I couldn't.
Like,
Did you?
If I hear it now, like I definitely recoil a bit.
Oh my gosh, no. I
was not
play that
into
at every party, every quinceañera. Like,
I was
it's not
like-
a party unless the Macarena
I mean, I can
is
say
on.
weddings. Everybody had it at their weddings and
Yeah.
receptions or whatever.
It was the new electric slide.
Yeah.
Yes, it was. That's right. Oh my God, the electric
Yeah.
slide. What do we have now? What's now?
What is now?
Do we do that anymore?
We had my Dougie.
Or was that like a
had the
90s
whip.
thing?
And the Dougie. Yeah.
But
do
like
the
whip,
stanky
the
leg.
everything
That was way long
that's
ago, though.
everybody could do, like almost like group choreography stuff.
I mean, I guess it's just all the little TikTok dances
Yeah.
now. I don't know.
so there's not. I don't
It's
know.
TikTok
yeah.
dances, yeah.
TikTok dances.
So there's no new Macarena basically. What,
Maybe we should make one.
Alicia? Can we leave that
Yeah.
to you to create the next dance
I
craze?
mean, sure.
Because
Well,
that's what you're known for.
as soon
Heavy
as
metal dance
you give me a
craze.
couple deck dances, it'll come very naturally.
I love it. Well, that's amazing. Okay, now
Thanks for taking us back.
as you know, like we'll save some more news tidbits and cultural tidbits for the next episode that we cover more titles. So now we're ready to get into our feature. Our new format is that each episode, we'll visit a year and we'll focus on one feature that we'll deep dive on. And then we have 2 honorable mentions that we'll bring up and talk about a little bit. And then, of course, if you guys have anything that you want us to visit that we didn't touch on and that you think is significant. Now, remember, we always pick titles that were top IMDb rated for that year and top box office, but also something significant and memorable about their music score or the artists that were a part of the soundtrack. So that's why we review the titles we do. So, of course, we'd love to hear from you. And if we need to look at a title, because there's so many in a year and we can't fit them all in the episodes. So just know that's why we kind of narrowed it down, because we do want to give each title the love if we can.
Yep.
So what we do
Yeah, let's get into it.
to figure out what feature we're doing is, for all those listeners out there who don't see the video, is that we're holding our shaky tube that has the titles that are going to be the inaugural feature of the episode.
Yay.
And it's basically a quote from that movie, and that we will read the quote. And our guest today on this episode will be the one to read the quote, and then we will guess what is the title based on the quote.
title?
And you at home listening can do the same. All right. We're going to shake it, and you're going to pick it, right? Extend your hand out there, Militia. Ready? I'm going to like lean it over.
Oh.
There we go. Pull that out. Okay.
Okay.
And then
Melissa.
go for it.
Go for it.
So the quote of the night is, "Do you like scary movies?"
I like that performance.
What was that?
And I'm thinking,
I think it's Scream! Ghostface!
yes. Okay, so yes, thank you. That was a great quote. Very obviously, this was a very iconic phrase that Ghostface, who is the primary antagonist of this movie, he would say to his victims when he first was kind of striking up conversation. And actually, the kind of fun fact about this character is that you don't know who Ghostface is. He actually can change, or you don't know if it's he, she, whatever. That's the whole fun of this movie, is that even as Scream had sequels, is that you're trying to figure out who is Ghostface. It could be anybody. But the original voice was actually Roger L. Jackson, and it's an iconic voice, the one he talked to Drew Barrymore in the opening scene, right?
Yeah.
And he's the one who said,
What's your
favorite scary movie? And it was this weird voice. So yeah, it's kind of interesting. Yeah. But I remember I saw this in the theater. How about you, Militia? Did you see it in the theater? We know Mandy.
Oh yeah, I saw Scream in the theater. Yeah. I remember. It was wild. Like, I remember every showing was sold out. Like,
oh my God,
everybody
yes.
went out to see it. It was a big deal.
I was actually
Wes Craven's triumphant return.
Literally, yeah.
Right.
He legit.
And it was like, and
Wes
he
Craven,
like,
Nightmare on Elm Street, all that stuff. Yeah.
Concept of it, and that the fact that like the movie's arguably biggest star was killed in the first 15 minutes of the
Drew
movie.
Barrymore. Yeah. Her.
Yes. She actually planned that, fun fact.
Right, I remember you saying that.
She was approached to actually play Sydney, that was played by Neve Campbell, but she was like, you know what? No. So she was like, wanted to be a silent producer on the film instead, and she was just like, how epic is it going to be that I die in the first scene? Because then it's going to be like, anything goes,
right?
You know? Like, people are going to just be like, what's going to happen next?
Yep.
And
that,
it's true.
And
it
that
really
actually,
set the tone.
yeah, and actually that was at the time. I mean, the horror genre was starting to lose a little steam, I think, right? And this was the first time, doing it this way actually shook it up. It actually brought this new kind of excitement and attention around this genre.
Totally.
It was actually really like kind of groundbreaking to do it that way. Then also, it was. I remember I saw it in DC. I was in DC. I was living in DC when I saw it, and like you said, I wasn't really into like horror genre really, but a bunch of friends were like, "Come on, let's go see it." And I was like, "Okay, cool," and everybody was like, "That's the best!" It was like a big hype. So I was like, "Cool, I'll go see it." But after I saw it, because it was so clever like that, I was like, that was amazing. I was really into it.
Totally.
Now check this out. What happened?
The reason why it was so amazing was because Wes Craven exposed the rules.
Yes.
Of horror.
That was the other thing that was groundbreaking. Thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It was like the characters told you how to survive a horror movie. And like what to say, what not to say. Like anyone who says "I'll be right back" gets killed. Right. I mean, it was like it was
the characters exactly. Brilliant. It was a clever way to put that in the script. Yeah, like
that's
the characters
what sets it apart for sure. It was so self-aware, and it was breaking the fourth wall in a sense.
Yes, that's what I was gonna say. It broke the fourth wall in that way.
It was acknowledging aloud what the audience already knew for years. With horror films, but it was almost like also making fun of itself.
Yes, it was making fun of itself. That's what I loved about it.
So great.
And I think that's what it was. It wasn't quite campy either. It wasn't like campy. It was like acknowledging like being smart about it. Like other people would be like, "Come on!" Like we were kind of getting tired of movies like that. We're like, "Really?" But now it was like I think he knew that was happening, and it was almost like speaking to that. Like we know, but we're still gonna scare you. Right. And what happened was like
we're still gonna scare you. Yeah.
We're still gonna scare you. I'm sitting in the theater, and it was a smaller theater. It was kind of like a boutique kind of theater, which was really cool. And all of a sudden, it got to the part of it was already 3/4 in, right? So it was already getting to that point where it was like, he was like kind of, they were chasing, and it was like at the end at the house, right? Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden, when there was one time where she didn't know, this is going to be a spoiler alert, obviously, this is our show to let you know, but there's two people who were actually ghost-faced in a way, and that's how some of that stuff could have happened, right?
Two killers.
Right, two killers. That was a good twist. But remember the scene when he was in the house, and he was like running by, and then she was like hiding outside, and she was trying to like escape? Just at that moment, the whole theater went dark. Like, all the electricity went out. It was like, and I was like, wait, are they doing this for effect? Because, it's like, I don't know, like, could it be? And we were all sitting there, everybody was kind of quiet. We're like, oh, and some people screamed, first. It was like, and we're like, hello? And we were just like, wait, is this part of the movie? And we were just like, didn't know. And then the usher was like, I'm sorry, you guys have to come out. And I guess that something happened. So we went outside, we were all walking out. We're like, wait, is this still part of it? And we're still walking out. And then 15 minutes later, we came back in the theater to watch it, and we finished. But no, it wasn't part of it. But I was just like, what are the odds of all the movies where it's scary and at that moment? And I was like, and I was like,
that's
no.
Scary.
I was like, that would have been cool if they actually did that on purpose to really get people scared,
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I'm like wondering if that could even be possibly done.
I remember being so afraid of this movie when I was little.
It was scary.
It creeped me out, and I remember just being afraid of it. And when all the kids were dressing up as Ghostface for Halloween, it was freaking me out. But when I went back to watch it now recently, as I was doing some research and watching it as an adult, I'm like, Yo, this is wild. It's a parody. It's actually a comedy. What?
Yes.
Which blew my mind because that's what Scary Movie did in 2000, right? With the Wayans brothers. They made a parody off of the parody. So I'm like, this is ironic. I always thought that like Scary Movie was it. But no, Wes Craven is such a genius for doing
it was
this.
it was genius. It was actually really groundbreaking for the horror genre, I think. Yeah. And also the quote of the title of our episode.
Totally revived the whole industry.
I think so too.
Yeah, it was definitely dying out, and he like came in and totally like changed the game.
And I think we were still in that, again, 1996. It was like it was the frequency of the times. There was a lot of like, I don't know, we were still open to this kind of like ridiculousness of, because like think about it, it was pretty freaking brutal. Yeah. It was brutal. Yeah. Like now I think about what we watched and it's like, whoa, that's too much. But like back in the 90s, we were like, yeah, that's funny and hilarious. And like your guts are everywhere. Right. Like we were so desensitized. I think it was almost like we needed that. If we couldn't take it anymore, it was almost like we had to kind of be like, all right, let's make it funny because we can't take it anymore. It's so extreme. And I think that's what was happening. That's why it resonated too. Because we were just like, come on, we need to like, look at this differently, Yeah,
well, part of what makes horror so great as a genre is its absurdity, right? Yeah. So it's like but it's also they're cluing in the audience that like this is kind of like extreme and ridiculous, and you can do something or show something brutal and then have some kind of weird relief, by like how it's done, or it could be like a bunch of things. I feel like that's like how that movie Terrifier gets over these days, is because like the main killer is the clown.
Right. Or it's like
Art the Clown. Yeah. Or like think about like I was watching Stephen King's Christine the other night. It was on. And I was like, oh yeah, this car that like hypnotizes and mesmerizes people and kills people. A car. Yeah. Like it's like a Ford Fairlane.
Stephen King should be a whole episode we do. Yeah. No, it's true. And I think it was getting, I mean, there are lots of subcategories, I'm glad you're bringing this up, of horror that it's interesting because there's some that are just pretty dark. They're just like on the nose. And almost it's like, again, it depends on what's happening in the real world because maybe it's too close for comfort. So I feel like when things are really happening in the real world like that, where it's like you don't really need to dive into fantasy around that. You already got enough of it, right? It's almost like you have to spin it differently. Real life is a horror movie. Yeah, it's almost like that's why Tarantino or like you said, where it's like Stephen King, where it's like, inanimate objects. Okay, this is a little bit more out there. It's not so close to reality. I feel like that would have been too close for comfort. So I feel like, right? Filmmakers have to make that choice.
Sure. No, totally. And it's almost like he was giving a master class in the slasher era. And because of this film, he 100%. Like challenged the later films to be more of than what we just expected them to be as an audience.
Yeah.
He started
not dialing it
in. Yeah. Like so good.
Like the scene where like Rose McGowan dies in the garage.
Oh my God.
Yeah. It's so absurd, but it's like it's pretty terrifying.
Yes! I swear this movie did that. I swear it was absurd.
It's pretty horrifying.
It was like camp and like really terrifying. Like literally. Yeah, she's like kind of saying quips as she's going and she's like going through it. And also you're like, really? You could have just pushed yourself out of the hole, things like that. But then when she dies, you're just like, oh, dang.
But also these killers, they're psychopaths. They're just like okay with doing all this. It's like so wild.
Yeah. Just like regular kids in high school.
And
they're just like,
with no motive, you know, and they're just like...
And I'm like, what is going on in the 90s? But yeah.
Well, what's kind of cool is that like the grand doyenne of all of this, who's in two of the movies that we're talking about tonight, is Neve Campbell. I mean, we have to
oh my God, that's right.
She was in two of the biggest movies.
She was popping back then. Like, even now.
Wait,
I guess I hate to call The Craft a horror movie.
But wait, you know what? Neve as well as...
Courtney Cox, she was popping.
Oh, Courtney Cox was like, that was so cool. And the fact that the police guy, what's his name?
David Arquette.
And they were together as a couple.
Yes,
that's when they met.
And fell in love.
Did you know that? Yeah. He was a little bit more serious, and he actually also...
He's also in The Craft.
Skeet and Neve.
He's also in The Craft.
Yeah.
So like stupid...
So that year was big for those two. And by the way, the title of this episode is from the quote of...
Matthew Lillard.
Matthew Lillard.
Skeet.
Yes.
So,
another fun fact. Did you know that Scream was inspired by real-life serial murders that happened in Florida? Apparently, in the first film, it was loosely based on Danny Rolling, the Gainesville Ripper. Rolling murdered 5 students in total, 1 from Santa Fe and the other 4 from the University of Florida. His weapon of choice was a knife, and he mutilated his victims' bodies. But get this, he even decapitated one of them. And Rolling's female victims were all white, petite, brunette women who looked like his mom. Isn't that creepy? Yeah. He was eventually caught in 1990.
So weird.
I mean, I haven't seen Scream in a minute, but I feel like they referenced that story in the movie, right?
Oh, they might have. I have to go back and look.
Have you seen it recently? I feel like there's
we just watched it.
They talk about that.
Yeah.
Maybe they did it in some way, in some story, because I thought it was based in like a podunk town. Like Kentucky.
Yeah, it is kind of in a...
It's not in Florida or anything like that.
No.
But that's crazy that it's based on real, like they were inspired by real, like that's, again, sign of the times. Like they don't have to go far for a story because it's real.
Yeah, I know.
Like,
real life
oh my God.
It's horrifying.
And the soundtrack was popping.
So
a lot of alternative rock in this.
Oh my God. I was thinking about it. I didn't think about that, but I haven't seen it. I rewatched it. So I saw it when it first came out, as we said. And so... Totally different person, totally different. You're not thinking of all things, right? I love this music of the 90s, of course. But then I'm listening to it now, which is like, what is it, 20, how many years later?
Oh, gosh.
20,
96.
I can't do math. 26 years later? Or 27. And I'm like,
27.
My 27 years. What?
What?
So, I don't know why I made that noise.
It's not okay.
That's not okay.
It's not okay.
It's just not okay.
It's not okay.
And I'm thinking like, wow, it was like glaring, but it was at the time, like it was the music. And it was things like, it was very grunge Soundgarden.
Like School's Out by Alice Cooper.
School's Out by Alice Cooper was a big one.
Hive
I remember
Moby.
that.
Republica. It was the Drop Dead Gorgeous.
Yeah.
And they did a music video, remember? And it was all tied in. That was when MTV was like
from the movie.
King. That's right. Clips from the movie were in the music video.
Yeah.
Don't Fear the Ripper.
That promoted the video, by the way. That was like the beginning of that hand-to-hand vibe where, chicken or the egg. Artist promotes the movie promotes the artist. But yeah, no, I think that in terms of the music, it really was a sign of the times. It was, like I said, MTV was big. That was like the era. I mean, people now who are like, if
they played music.
Yeah, it played music, right?
Music.
MTV is not the same now.
Music videos.
Yeah.
Marco Beltrami is the composer for it.
MTV is.
And Wes Craven's assistant actually found him and requested him. He actually scored all 4 Scream films.
Oh.
And because they wanted someone who was going to be new and fresh and wonderful, and a lot of people suggested him. So.
I think that played a role in why this movie was so popular, don't you think?
I believe
I think that was a really smart move. Yeah, it was. They paired with like...
Everybody knows that like the score to the film for horror is equally as important.
Gosh, totally.
Because like for all the scenes when no words are said, the score's got to speak for the movie as well. I mean, look at Halloween.
Yeah,
like
literally, yes.
But I was gonna say that before now,
iconic theme.
Exactly, but that's the thing. Before Scream, which actually injected actual artists, it was the beginning of that with horror genre. Because before Halloween, Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, it was more of an iconic sound or score. But there was no clear like song or artist. Now it was, oh man, these are artists that we know already and we love, and it's kind of like it created this.
Nightmare on Elm Street 3 was iconic for the Dream Warriors theme song by Dawkins.
That's right.
Yeah.
Do you remember that song? And it clips from the video. From the movie in the video.
I think everybody was taking cue that was the way to go, is to get artists and like promote it, like cross promote cinema that way. That was smart. That's what people were like interested in. That's how they were like cross pollinating, getting people back into the theater. You know what I'm saying?
Totally. Such a trip to think Wes Craven did all those scary movies like Nightmare on Elm Street.
That was one of my favorite.
He almost passed
Nightmare
this one down.
Street.
He turned this one down twice because he already had The Hills Have Eyes and another Nightmare on Elm Street Greenland.
That was scary.
He didn't want to get stuck in horror. He wanted to kind of expand. So he was like, I like the parody aspect of it.
Yeah, it was kind of like a nice little bridge.
Different,
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah,
He was the king.
Yeah, and I think the movie overall, it was actually, I remembered it differently when I watched it again. I was like, oh, it actually doesn't really move a lot. That you're really kind of staying in like just a few places. It's funny what we remember. When I watched it again, it was like, oh yeah, a lot of it just is at this house and it's at this thing. And it's not really moving a lot. And there was not a lot of character development. There's a lot of suspension of disbelief, put it this way.
Yeah.
Like there's one police officer covering like when there's like murders. I'm like, what's happening there?
Yeah. But the
Dewey,
iconic opening
What's his name?
scene.
Dewey?
Yeah,
Dewey.
Dwight. It's Dewey for
yeah.
short. But the iconic
Dwight.
opening scene with Drew Barrymore, I always just remember that.
Yeah.
She's just screaming on the
Iconic.
phone with the popcorn. You know, she accidentally dialed 911. Like, she kept calling the police because the prop guy forgot to, like, unplug the phone.
Oh, and that's that. Now you're reminding me. This is where I think this movie was... could only be because of the frequency of the times. This is the first time in the Sonic Chronic history. It's perfect.
Expand
you know why?
on that, Shay.
I will. And I looked it up and I forgot to do my research, but I did kind of do a pseudo research. At the time, do you remember the phone? Okay, it was a cell, and notice they say cellular phones. It wasn't cell phone.
Right.
But it was still the kind where you pull, and it was kind of bulky, whatever, but that was the beginning of cellular phones that were beyond like a car phone or a remote wireless phone in your home off of a landline.
Yeah.
Okay. But that was the beginning. Nokia and what was the other one? Shoot, I'm going to ruin it. But they actually, you see the brand.
Motorola.
But Nokia is the brand. They show the brand when it fell on the ground. So it says Nokia. Now, what I'm saying is, I bet you, was someone like, what would happen? Like, this is the first time someone could be anywhere and have a phone. You are not locked to a landline anymore.
Yeah.
And so maybe they're like, ooh, wouldn't that be scary if anybody, so you build this whole kind of like scary story off of the fact of this technology condition. So this could never be now.
Right.
But how cool is that this story came from the fear of like what happens when a technology, just like I'm sure we'll get movies about AI, which we do.
AI
you know what I'm saying?
scares me.
Like, so, but I'm just saying it's a technology fear.
Yeah.
That this genre kind of inspired.
It got me.
Right? But the other thing I think, the reason why I didn't think they deep dove on things like Dewey or even, what's her name as the reporter? Everybody
Gail Weathers.
Gail Weathers. She was amazing.
Her.
Because you know what they were doing? And I thought, oh, this is so clever. I feel like this is also one of those movies, once you see it, you've seen it. You know the twist, right? Mm. But it's because they were trying to create this thing that anybody could have been Ghostface.
Yeah, literally anybody.
I feel like they were trying to make it seem like Dewey was possibly Ghostface. He was always showing up. He was always there. And he was all this like innocent, goofy guy. But I'm like, is he Ghostface?
There are moments where I thought it could be Dewey. Yeah, I was rewatching it.
Yeah,
there's so many amazing actors in this too.
There's a lot of good actors in it. Yeah. So, well, I mean, hey, should we vote on this, or do we have any more anecdotes? Are we feeling like we can give a rating on this one?
Oh, I think we can give a rating.
Okay.
There's so many good things about this movie.
I know, so many good things.
On.
On and on. It was really good. And if you haven't seen it, I mean, there's how many sequels to it?
There's like 5.
There's a new one coming out.
A new reboot that came out like last year.
There's a new one coming out. And I think there's even newer one coming out
just like
soon.
Traditional horror movie history, the great horror movies have sequels.
So
yes.
There was even a series.
So they just totally played out their horror legacy.
Wait, there was a TV series, right?
Yeah, TV series.
Was that any
watch
good?
it on
I didn't
Apple.
see it.
Yep. There's like 3 seasons. Yeah.
No, I didn't see it. No.
Oh, I didn't see it.
I don't really mess with like the horror TV shows.
Yeah.
Except for one. I really did like Nightmare on Elm Street, the series.
Oh, I didn't see that.
That really kind of dates me, but that was back in the day.
Wait, was
like
that on a network or like
scared me?
Netflix. Man. Oh yeah, Freddy Krueger.
Yeah, it was on like regular TV,
like NBC or something.
And they had it was that. No. It was like I want to say it was like TBS or something. I'm not sure. I have to Google. But like. There was a Friday the 13th series.
Oh yeah,
okay,
and there was Tales from the Crypt.
Tales from the Crypt! I love Tales. Yeah. My new favorite kind of, it's not so much horror, but it's almost like sci-fi horror is Black Mirror. So I'm more into that kind of stuff. Good. I like the crossover of like sci-fi mixed with like terror and horror.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, no,
I'm a scaredy cat, so
yeah,
I won't.
I know
this one I could rewatch. I was like, okay,
this one was okay because you said it was like kind of leaning on like making fun of itself, so it wasn't so intense. Like Chainsaw Massacre, that's too much. I can't even.
I could watch that. I can't watch
Hostel
anything
and Saw
with like
and stuff like that.
with
Those
like
are hardcore.
Supernatural or like The Exorcist. You could never pay me to watch. And there are billboards everywhere, Militia. Like they're everywhere now.
Those are scary.
I'm like,
you know why?
Why do we need to keep remaking this? Stop. We don't need any more.
We need some new stories. I agree. I agree. That's Hollywood for you, right? So, all right.
That's
showbiz, baby. That's showbiz. Let's milk it.
All right. Let's read it.
Well, I think this one, at least this series, I can see why there's sequels. It's fun. You can do lots of stuff with it. And they, again, because of the nature of the story, that each new movie or sequel, it could be interesting because it could be someone new.
Yeah.
So I feel like other ones, it's like, okay, how many times is this guy going to kill people? Okay, now on a ship, in the desert, it's like you just change things.
Yeah.
So I think that's why Scream, it makes sense. It can be more flexible, right?
So dig it. That show was called Freddy's Nightmares, and it ran from
I heard of that.
1988 to 1990.
Whoa.
Yo, that's old school.
Did Wes Craven direct that too? The series?
That was before
created
Scream,
by
then.
him, yes.
That was way before Scream.
But I don't think he directed all the episodes.
Right. He's probably like, ain't nobody got time for that. Make movies.
Right? So that's awesome. I love those fun facts because that's the thing. It's like, again, there was like a string of all that trying to like revamp that whole genre.
Yeah.
But I think they did a good job. I mean, that was awesome. I mean, it was buzzing for quite a minute, and it was really top the charts. And of course, the music and the artists associated and the darlings of the day, all the actors in it, the young actors.
Fun fact. Last fun fact.
What?
I just can't not say it.
What?
They chose the title Scream because of Janet and Michael's music video, that song Scream. The Weinstein brothers were like,
really?
At first it was going to be called Scary Movie, but the Weinstein brothers are like, I'm not going to buy this unless it makes sense to me. And and then they were like, I don't know. And then someone told him about the song and he was like, that's it. We have our title. We're going to call it Scream.
That's amazing. It's not really, there's no any real.
It's not like real tie to it, but it's just like they just heard it and they're like, I want it to be called Scream now.
I love that. I love that.
That video is so dope.
So dope.
Confusion.
That's actually one of my favorite of them both, and I love that they're together in that. I was like, the
outfit, and it's black and white.
Like that was my favorite look for Janet.
My favorite look for Janet for sure.
I remember when she did the video with Busta Rhymes and she had all that purple and the rings and that look you would love.
She was edgy.
Oh my God, that was the shit. But that was like CGI.
Yeah.
But still,
her outfit.
That's her best look, right?
I thought Scream.
Her outfit was fire.
I thought the video, because you said Rhythm Nation, that was the beginning of her getting like taking her power back, not being all like quiet Janet. She was like, I'm coming out. But then that music video of Scream, though, it was more she was like chic about it. So I think I liked it a little bit better.
What's it gonna be?
She was almost like
what's it gonna
glam
be?
goddess.
Remember?
Yes. All right. So we are going to rate
vote.
Scream. What will be our rating system for Scream?
Okay.
All right,
So
everybody. Let's put our brains together.
Positive for Scream.
Let's put our scrambled brains together. All right, let's think of what would be a good thing or what would be a bad thing. Okay, so how about, was it remember the rules? No, I don't know.
Slash and dash.
I feel like we're having Tourette's right now. Do you have any ideas? All right, how about the bad thing is?
Of what, like, so like, it's like a thumbs up and a thumbs down.
Yeah.
But based on what is like around the film.
But custom to the film we're reviewing.
Okay.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, so like a positive would be like Drew Barrymore's wig, and a negative would be like
wait, what?
So remember she wore that like blonde wig?
Yes.
Yeah, it was just so random. I was like, yeah, sure, she sits at home like burning popcorn in her blonde wig. That's suspension of disbelief.
Yeah.
So it's good. It's Drew Barrymore's blonde wig, and then if it's bad, it's
burnt popcorn.
Matthew Lillard's acting.
He it to Juliet.
He's so great in it.
All right,
I like so like, over the top. He was doing like the Jim Carrey thing.
He really was.
You know, where
he
was
a little bit.
But it was funny.
It was a little too much. I would say let's center. I like centering it around Drew because we love Drew.
So positive.
Positive is
Drew Barrymore's
rocking the blonde wig with flair, and then the negative is burnt popcorn. How about that? Remember how she left it on the stove and it kind of that's when she got killed.
Oh yes, I remember. I cried. That was the first death.
I know, so soon. She almost. I thought she was gonna make it. No,
she was so good in that. My gosh.
She was.
Can we talk about, though, the popcorn that you put on the stove?
Remember? Jiffy Pop!
Seconds.
Jiffy Pop!
Remember the Jiffy Pop!
Remember the Jiffy Pop! All right, so here's our rating system is blonde wig, don't care, or
burnt popcorn.
And our review is of Scream, blonde wig, don't care! What do you say, Melissa? What's your vote?
Yes, honey.
I say it's all
blonde wig, don't care.
Yes.
All right, Drew. All right.
Yes, we love Scream.
You live on in spirit.
Everyone go watch Scream.
Everyone go check it out. It was a lot of fun. Even if you don't like that genre, it was still a lot of fun.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's hop on over to our honorable mentions.
Really quickly, yes. Let's talk about these two films we just couldn't pass up because they weren't so much at the top of the charts, but everyone has seen these.
It was kind of middle charting, but it was...
These are like iconic films,
It kind of almost became cult classics.
Cult classics, for
sure.
And
one of them... Well, let's start with The Craft. I started with it.
You started with it, so she's ready to go.
I asked you, and then I just bulldozed through.
The Craft, that's our fave.
Okay, The Craft, so cool. When we looked up 1996, I was like, oh my God, The Craft! I didn't know it was that year. That's a long time ago. But,
Militia knows The Craft.
You know about The Craft. You love The Craft just as much as we do, I'm assuming.
Oh, yeah. One of my favorites, of course. But what was so wild is that when it came out, people actually thought that I was Raquel. They were like, hey, were you in The Craft? I was like, I wish.
Wait, her character's name was Rochelle, right?
Raquel.
Yeah, and Raquel was the actor.
Yeah, Rochelle.
She, first of all, it was the first...
Rachel True.
Yes,
Rachel True.
And it was... the first time, and I think this is why it became so popular. Again, Neve Campbell was one of the main characters.
Bonnie, she played Bonnie.
And then
Fairuza Balk.
She made her debut as Nancy.
I honestly thought Bonnie was a little out of sync with the times. Like, I was like, do you know anyone named Bonnie?
Yeah.
The names were all like Nancy. What's Nancy?
Sarah.
Sarah's whatever.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is,
Sarah.
It was the first time they were doing this, like, coming out with like women kind of being the central characters. And
it was in LA.
And questionable how they framed it, but like, of course, these were witches, they had powers and powers, And
they were looking for
starting
their
to scratch
fourth.
the surface of that. Yeah, they were looking for the fourth to totally have their collective kind of synergy of power. And it was also kind of like the time, it's like a similar thing of like, you're in high school, it's almost finding like your peeps and like feeling like you have something to look forward to. Like you can kind of like hold against all these other people who are like making you feel like crap, It was like almost like a combination of, what happens when you like find your clique or your coven. But it also, literally, they were saying they were also witches. But, that was the story.
Literally witches. Like,
but you know what I mean? Don't you think there was a parallel there? Yeah. But of things that happen to people, like, people picking on you and like, dealing with some very major issues. But it's almost like, imagine what would happen. It's like almost like that fantasy they allow them to have where it's like, what if you can just make her, trip and fall on her face because she was bullying you, It's almost like it played on this idea of like, what if you had powers and you could totally just make these people suffer for being rude to you, Gosh. So I think that's why it was so popular as well, because it was always, they totally had a glow up.
We are the weirdos, mister.
Yes!
My favorite club.
That was Nancy, right?
Yeah. When they get off the bus.
What's wild is just to like dig into like the times. At least, I don't know if this was for you, Shay, but at my school, witchcraft was like this thing under the surface. Because I went to Catholic school, like the girls in the movie.
Right. Yeah,
and
so
like witchcraft was always like this undercurrent that was going on. And me and some of our girls were passing around this book. And it was called The Modern Witch's Spell Book.
Whoa.
Right? So, like, all of my friends were like kind of like sharing this book and like trying to do spell work at home.
Oh my God.
I had like a coven.
You were the craft.
High school.
You were the craft.
We were the craft. Yeah. And it was so funny because like I remember going to see the craft with girls from my coven. We left the movie and one of the girls said, I said, so what do you think? And she's like, this sucks. Now everyone's going to do witchcraft.
Cat's out of the bag.
So we aren't going to do deep dive.
It was so funny. We were just like mourning how trendy it was going to become. And it did.
You know, it's true. But I actually, you know, it's funny. Like again, 27 years and it took this long. I feel like it's coming back full wave though, but in a good way. Like this idea of like, it's like almost like
witchcraft.
Female, yeah, but it's almost like speaks to like
witchcraft.
Nature and female empowerment and all that stuff. And I think it's like cool, but it's coming back differently. But like that was more like
I don't think it ever left.
No, it didn't. But I feel like
I don't think it ever left.
Kind of slightly trivialized.
More vocal about it,
you know. Yeah, that's true. And also it's not as like
people are
anti like whatever as it was a little bit more like demonized. It was associated with like evil, you know. And I think that's being redefined, which is really cool. But I know you had some inside scoop. Well, first of all, beyond inside scoop, you have to do the quote from the scene when Nancy was invoking the spirit, Mana, Manu, whatever his name is. Are you,
Mano, yes.
Mano, yeah. Do you feel up for it?
These are my gifts.
Okay, you have to see that because you'll know then how good that impression is.
These are my gifts.
These are my gifts. And then all these
everywhere. He's in everything.
I feel him in me.
Oh, at the end when she's like,
I'm your daughter now.
Like, I'm flying. I'm flying.
She's all strapped down. She's in the psych ward.
You do
it so good.
It's so great. She's so unhinged.
She's seriously, she channeled too well on that one. I was like, oh God. But no, that was so genius. And then
I loved her in The Water Boy too.
Oh my God. And she was also in American History X.
Oh yeah.
She always played these like crazy characters after that.
Oh, but hold on, we're not done crafting.
Oh, we're not done crafting? Okay. Well.
Anyway, so no, because I wanted to say that like I remember when they were in production for it and they were talking about it. And they actually brought in Wiccan priestesses to make sure that they were doing the spell work the right way.
Oh, that's cool.
Whoa.
On set.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool. I appreciate that they did that.
And another craft tidbit was, well, the figure or the presence of Menon is a made-up word. It's a made-up presence.
Right, that's what I thought so.
Because they didn't want to actually like
appropriate.
Anything.
Yeah, or
yeah,
like,
don't do that.
Yeah, or yeah.
Right.
So
Wild.
That was a thing. But but an interesting fun fact was that the girl who played Sarah was actually bald at the time that she shot that movie.
Robin
so she's wearing a wig. Sarah's wearing a wig the whole movie.
Wow.
Because she had done like Empire Records.
Oh, that's why she
had to
looks
shave
so
her head
weird.
into mohawk.
I thought it looked so.
Yeah,
the fact that you're saying that, okay, that makes me feel so much better because I'm like, why does her hair look like a straight up wig? Because first of all, it was coming out like this. It was like all boofed.
Robin,
did you not notice that? And then why was she always running like this?
Robin,
why was she?
I know. I know.
Every time she's like this
on the boobs when you do that.
Okay, sorry, it was killing me. We were dying every time I was watching the scenes.
I love it though. I love the way
she's always like
that. It's
run,
awesome.
run away, go run.
Yeah, it was too funny.
Run upstairs,
run away, go cry to your mommy.
She kind of was wimpy though. I have to agree.
Was like Rachel True's character was actually supposed to be a white character, and they changed it.
Oh, good. They needed diversity,
they changed it.
Well, that would have changed a lot because her
story a bit. Too,
yeah, because her story was about like that racist character. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's interesting.
They changed it.
I'm glad they did.
The initial version of the craft, she wasn't a woman of color.
Wow.
I'm glad they changed it.
Yeah, me too. She was great.
She made it interesting, actually. She was kind of like the only one where I was like, there's not really anything wrong with her.
She fucking... Well, something that I will say, because it's definitely still current, is that they do craft reunions all the time for all the cons and stuff like that.
Right.
they're having like a big resurgence of people that are discovering the movie for the first time now, like a new generation of people that love it and identify with it. And Rachel True finally came clean and came forward saying that people were leaving her out of things as if she wasn't in a story about 4 girls.
That's lame.
What?
Right?
So lame.
Like, when they went and did the MTV Movie Awards, like the year that The Craft came out, MTV only invited the 3 girls, and Rachel was in the audience.
Why?
Shut up.
Why did they think that was not going to be noticed? Ew.
As in, like, to present an award or something?
Yeah, like, why
they
were they
just,
on?
like, were presenting.
Wow.
That?
And they didn't invite her.
But was there because there was some kind of controversy? Like,
anything? She couldn't say anything because her agent was like, "Don't rock the boat. You know, you're lucky to even be in there."
But why were they leaving her out? What was
the a white girl?
Oh gosh.
Was there like a falling out? Like, what was the point?
I don't know.
Oh,
no, I don't think so.
That's interesting and lame. Well, I know that I heard that she's.
But a lot of the cons tried to do that to her too.
Yeah.
And finally, she was like, "You know what? Fuck this shit. I'm just gonna like be vocal about it because The Craft is a story about 4 girls."
Exactly. Good for her.
Not 3. It's 4 girls.
Well, so that was the frequency of the time.
That was the frequency of a time.
Legit frequency of the time, because I don't see any black actors on the screen.
Exactly. And I thought, ironically, I thought it was interesting that they were her story had to do with how it had to do with her story was the racist comment from the blonde girl in the story.
Yeah.
You know, that was her whole thing, that she had her pain point. And I was like, okay, they're bringing that up, but it was almost like out of token to bring it up, because it really wasn't like, we were just scratching the surface of like a very obviously look at Sign of the Times. I mean, it came back 20 years later, full on, where we hadn't addressed it. And it was almost like, oh yeah, we acknowledge it, but we didn't. Because Hollywood was still whitewashed, as you just pointed out. But we'll end on
the fact that they did have her and like she was able to represent that on screen then was actually huge.
It was very huge.
I mean, they really
I'm happy she at least got some visibility.
Because I don't ever remember seeing anything like that.
Exactly. Which was so refreshing.
Movies that were like trending at the time.
It's what people wanted. Yeah, and I'm glad that you pointed that out too.
It was pretty forward thinking. Yeah.
Yeah. It was
someone did something right.
Yeah, someone.
Andrew Fleming directed this.
Andrew Fleming.
Andrew Fleming.
Yeah. So that was groundbreaking. And if you haven't seen The Craft, you got to go see it. It is iconic. It is a cult classic.
Soundtrack is fire.
I heard they might be rebooting it.
Really?
I don't know. Yep, I heard they might.
Did.
They did already?
They already did.
Oh yeah.
It's out?
They did reboot it.
Oh, I didn't see it. As a movie? Not as a show, right?
Like New Young Girls, right?
As a movie.
It's not going to be the same.
Yes, that's right.
Anyway.
It's not.
So, see the original. Maybe the new one's good. Who knows? They're doing that with The Color Purple as well. That's another episode. But, so, here we go. Tarantino. I know.
Don't mess with perfection.
And the other thing is, this was when he was just in his little infancy stage, getting his little feetsies and his little training wheels. Tarantino, From Dusk Till Dawn was 1996.
Yes.
And this was actually before Pulp Fiction, I think, and all that stuff, and Kill Bill and all that. But yeah,
it's not a Tarantino film. It's a Robert Rodriguez film.
Yeah,
it wasn't.
Tarantino.
I'm saying because he just starred in it, and he also did
the screenplay. Tarantino.
Yeah, yeah, but no, it was a combination and super brutal. You think it's going to be about these like bank robbers, whatever, banditos, but it was actually a vampire horror movie.
Oh gosh,
what a weird twist. And so this one was really kind of weird and wild and kind of super brutal. It was really brutal and dark.
Scary.
And guess who was in it? She was so
violent,
little and so young. Juliette
Lewis. I love her.
She was so good in this.
And George Clooney. Selma Hayek had that sexy dance.
Selma Hayek, she was famous for that scene. And then with a snake. And then George
perfect performance.
She's amazing. Most people watch it because of her scene.
Robert Rodriguez and Tarantino, they tag teamed a lot. Remember his movie Desperado?
Yeah,
they do.
Selma was in that too.
Yes, I love that.
Happens a lot. That happens a lot.
So good. And also remember they did the Grindhouse Death Proof double feature.
The double feature. I saw that in the theater.
Amazing.
The other person that was in this was
Planet Terror.
Yes, Planet Terror was
Danny Trejo.
That's right. He has a restaurant chain now. But he was in it, and it was all these. They were, and what's his name? Cheech. Or Chong.
Tom Salvini.
Cheech Marin.
Yeah, he played two different characters. It was kind of wild. It was just like, even though Tarantino didn't direct it was very Tarantino in the way of like things were more exaggerated.
Sure.
But it's a fun one to check out. Again, Sign of the Times. It was like, what is wrong with us? Everything is so freaking violent and gory. And like she's left for dead at the end, and she's just kind of like, okay, I'm just like a 13-year-old. I'll take this camper now. And like, anyway, so you guys should check it out. That was also happening in 1996. So we thought we needed to mention it for this horror genre. Yeah. It was charting, and it was, vampire scary. Check it out so you can see what we mean.
I was so afraid of vampires as a kid because it's stuff like this.
Salem's Lot was a good one.
An Interview with a Vampire.
Interview with a Vampire. There's so many.
Vampires are my favorite.
Oh, did you love Salem's Lot by Stephen King? Did you see that one?
Sure, yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's a scary book.
But the thing that I have to mention is that I saw this movie in the theater when it came out, and I didn't know anything about it.
Yeah.
Right? Because I was like really immersed in school. Yeah. And I just knew that Tarantino was in a thing.
Yeah.
And, Harvey Keitel, who I love. And like, it was just like, it's all the reasons to go see this movie.
Totally.
So I went to go see the movie. So I didn't know that it was a vampire.
Yeah. Oh, so it was a bonus for you, right?
So when the vampires came out, I was just as confused as the character.
Right. Because it's not right away. It's not obvious.
Such a flip, right?
Yeah, it was such a twist.
It is not obvious.
It's a twist, big time.
Twist. And it's just like, I was like, I think I love this movie. Yeah. Like more than most. I was like, I really am obsessing on this movie. Plus, I have to say, George Clooney was looking rather delectable in this film.
He's a very attractive guy.
Mine.
With his neck tattoo.
Neck tattoo.
I was feeling it too.
It made me feel some kind of way.
I agree with you. I was like sitting there going like,
yeah,
he holds the test of time too. He still looks good. And I'm like, he is an attractive man.
I never crushed on him until that movie.
Yeah, it was the neck tattoo.
And I was like, oh my God.
Same with me. Neck tattoo did it for me. By far. And because he was kind of clean cut with a neck tattoo. It was like perfect. But yeah, no, the I didn't see it in the theater.
And I have to say that I'm probably like one of the few people that actually thought Quentin Tarantino was hot during this.
Okay, you're alone in that one. Sorry.
Okay, yeah.
So I can't back you on that one. Anyway, no, but
also because he plays such a pervert.
Yeah, he was horrible. He was such a creep. He was such a creep, and he actually has a foot fetish, by the way.
But did
you know that
he does have a foot fetish?
He has a foot fetish, and it was in the movie.
Yes.
Remember?
He was like sucking every goddamn movie.
Put the champagne down her leg, the Selma Hayek scene.
Yeah, and with her toes in his mouth.
He actually there was shots of
feet. If you watch any Tarantino movie,
yeah, oh my gosh.
Yes.
Which one did we just review? The Kill Bill. The toe.
Yeah.
It's like zoomed in on her toe.
Yes.
I see that now.
It's like the Stan Lee cameo. But no, I didn't actually see it in the theater at the time.
Remember the scene in Death Proof?
Yes.
Where Jungle Julia has her feet out the window.
Yes, every time he'll do some kind of homage.
Wow.
But yeah, people, and now it's known. Yeah. People know that. But what I was trying to say is that, I didn't see it in the theater at the time, but I was thinking and I actually saw it for the first time now, reviewing it for this show. And so, but I was thinking, if I saw it at the time, probably would have thought it was really rad. Because you know what I mean? It was just kind of like, it was just like edgy for the time because you hadn't done it before. But now it's like, I've seen so many things now since then that it's like, oh yeah, it's kind of been done. That happens,
No, yeah.
I think that was it for this episode. I mean, this was our kind of gore edition, and I think
Halloween special.
There's a Halloween special. So the other ones that we're going to visit in the next episode are still in 1996, but obviously they're going to be, not so specific to the genre. Horror. Yeah. Is there? Let's see. Like,
so what's are you rating?
No ratings on the honorable mention, but we do a wrap up on our episode of all three. Was there any kind of common thread other than the horror genre? I mean, the horror genre is the common thread, but is there anything else? I think the common thread was there was a Sign of the Times. We saw there was a connection with Scream was based on this. I'm on the telephone, I can be anywhere, and I can talk to you and say I'm inside the house or I'm not inside the house or whatever. And that's like this horror movie. It's connection with technology. Then you have like the violence and kind of like
just the slasher, gory,
the slasher,
bloody,
just extreme kind of like whatever. Of the Craft was also pretty dark, in that way. And then, of course, From Dusk Till Dawn. But what do you guys think? Any kind of connection with what was happening in the world, or just a common theme of what you think people were resonating with? Oh, and by the way, both Dusk Till Dawn and The Craft had amazing 90s music.
Yeah.
It was totally all these artists. It was not even like a score.
Well, there was a famous composer named Graham Revell that did the score for the soundtrack of The Craft, and he did a bunch of stuff.
Oh, nice.
But I don't think he did any of the movies that we mentioned.
Yeah.
But all of them had bangering soundtracks.
Yeah, and I think that's the common thread in this one. Killing. Yeah, because it was almost more it was less about some specific storyline. No, you don't. And I think that was the beginning of that meshing.
Movie comes out
this
now,
is
you
when you would legit go buy the soundtrack.
Yes, and
I
feel exactly
go buy the CD soundtrack for all these.
I feel like it was the sign of the times in the middle of the 90s, and it was this really strong bond between the music and the cinema.
Totally.
So I feel like this was a very good example of that. Besides the violence, and then also there was a little bit.
Tarantino always does that.
I'll take it back. There is a common thread. I just realized. It was this kind of model of almost making fun of itself.
Yeah.
Because it kind of did that. Even Craft is a little farther away from it, but almost.
Scream for
the absurdity. Well, yeah, I mean, in From Dusk Till Dawn, you have Tom Savini in it as Sex Machine, and the vampire goes to shoot him, and then the gun pops up like a boner and shoots him.
Oh my God. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
That was wild. Oh my God. And the football player cameo.
What a trip.
That was a trip. So we are wrapped up on that. And I think that I'm glad that we got to squeeze in the gore edition here.
Me
that was
too.
important. I think it was important.
We got to have Militia Vox.
And have Militia to kind of join us on that.
Beauty.
Space coaster to 1996. Yeah. So we'd like you, Militia, to tell us, is there anything we should be looking out for in terms of what you're up to, where people can find you, any kind of thing that you want people to know, our listeners?
Yeah, you can follow me on my socials. I'm at Militia is my name. That's MILITIAISMYNAME. Sign up for the mailing list, stalk me, send me love letters, hate mail, the works.
Is it militiavox.com? Do you have a website at there?
It's both militiavox.com and militiaismyname.com.
Nice.
I get. Nice. You can get there from both. God, I had new music that just came out. Desires of This World collab with Rick Light. Power metal.
Yes.
The music videos kick ass. If you haven't seen it, you should definitely check it out.
They look really pretty.
I actually just dropped my first children's music song, which I never imagined I would do in a million years. But I dropped it with Divinity Rocks, who used to be Beyonce's bass player and music director. Okay. And now she's making children's music. So, ta-da.
Wow.
So I'm on the Halloween song that's actually being played on Kids Place on Sirius XM as we speak.
Yay! So we love it. That's amazing. See, look at
it's
us
in the top 10
with a cool guest.
Wow!
Yeah, so Halloween by Divinity Rocks and Militia Vox.
Okay, you heard it here first. Look at that. Well, I'm feeling like it's time for us to get out of the spooky zone.
Yeah.
So
I don't like it here that much.
But we're so happy that Militia protected us from all the cobwebs and all stuff. So, but definitely check out all the links and all the info that she just mentioned. And then also, thank you for joining us on this episode of the Sonic Chronic. As usual, we would love to hear from you.
Yes.
Let us know. What do you think about our review? What do you think about the feedback? Is it something that you're vibing with? Did we miss anything?
Did you check out the movies? Tell us what you think about it. Leave us comments. We love all that.
We love all that. Obviously on Spotify, that's where you can find us now. Leave feedback there. Rate us. Rate the episodes. That gives us the love.
And share.
Share. And we are going to be launching a new Patreon channel, which will be a great place for you guys to get all kinds of bonus, extra footage, all that good stuff. But we will definitely be on Spotify and YouTube and all the places for you to get to our episodes very easily. So with that said,
that was the frequency of that time.
Thank you, Militia.
We love you.
Thank you, ladies. Love you, miss you. Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.